Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Wednesday evening, February 12, 2025. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video. I'd really appreciate it if you guys get the video up to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video and then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more persons who are in the path of these tropical systems so that we can keep everyone safe, especially during the peak months of Atlantic hurricane season, that's August through to October. Share this video with your friends, your co-workers, your relatives, and even your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Please ensure that you guys utilize the progress bar that's located at the bottom of the video, as well as the timestamps that are located not only in the comment section but the video description, so that you can skip to the points in the video that you want to see the most in order to save time, because we know that the videos over here with the Jamaica can be very long. Leave a comment down below letting me know what the that's like in your area recently. Also feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so we're going to be looking at what the next 7 days have in store for us, according to the latest Euro model that came out at 3:30 p.m. today, as well as the latest GFS model that came out at 6 p.m. this evening. So keep your eyes focused right here on the timestamp at the top as we go out to the next 168 hours. We know that stands for the next 7 days. Also keep your eyes focused on Jamaica right here as we look for all of this that we see on the key on the right. That's the reds, the oranges, the yellows, and the greens that represents inches of rainfall. Alright, so we can see that as we head into Thursday, we see moisture extending all the way from the Leeward Islands to the south of Puerto Rico and Hispaniola into portions of eastern Jamaica. Very interesting. Looks like we're going to be getting in on some morning rainfall on Thursday. Then on Thursday afternoon, this activity will definitely spill into sections of some central and western parishes. Very interesting. Then as we head into Friday, we see the morning rainfall in store for portions of eastern Jamaica, once again especially northeastern parishes. And then Friday afternoon, just some dots of greens here and there across central and western parishes. Nothing significant in terms of bad weather at all, but maybe just some isolated showers, nothing bad. Then as we head into Saturday morning, look at all of the greens represent moisture across northern and eastern parishes. Very interesting forecast. And then also affecting sections of some southern and western parishes during Saturday afternoon. We'll see how it actually plays out. Heading into Sunday morning, we can see the moisture extending right here from the ABC Islands all the way up into portions of eastern Jamaica. We're still getting in on that nice easterly or east-southeasterly kind of flow. Then on Sunday afternoon, we see the moisture not only across eastern Jamaica but across northern and western parishes. Very interesting forecast. Monday still showing moisture, especially to the south of Jamaica, even more robust to the south of us with the dark greens and dots of yellows. That represents maybe up to 5-6 inches of rainfall. Very interesting forecast for Monday morning. Also affecting us during the afternoon on Monday, central and western parishes for sure. Tuesday, not as robust as what's expected on Monday, but we can see some afternoon rainfall across south, central, and western Jamaica. And then we're going to be stopping it right here at the end of the 168 hours. So this is valid for Wednesday, February 19. And we do see the dots of greens in and around the island right here. We also see an abundance of moisture to the south of Hispaniola into portions of the northeastern Caribbean. We'll see how it actually plays out. Either way, let us match what we just saw on the latest Euro model to the latest GFS. Let's see if we have the consensus. So we do see that morning rainfall expected for eastern parishes on Thursday, also affecting section of maybe central and western parishes during Thursday afternoon. Friday, northern and eastern parishes with the isolated shores. Friday afternoon, maybe some isolated shores across southern Jamaica. Very interesting forecast. Saturday, we can see the greens represent moisture across northern and eastern parishes. Then on Saturday afternoon, 0 on Sunday, which is actually 7 p.m. on Saturday, we see some moisture across southern and western parishes. Very interesting forecast. Sunday, see the moisture across sections of eastern, northern, and western parishes. On Monday, we do see the moisture across southern and western Jamaica during Monday afternoon. Tuesday, Look at what we're seeing. Maybe some isolated showers across southwestern parishes once again. And we're going to be stopping it right here at the end of the 168 hours. So this is valid for Wednesday, February 19 as well. And we can see some moisture extending from the eastern Caribbean to the south of Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic. Some of the activity spilling into sections of eastern Jamaica for sure. And we can even see that abundance of moisture that's expected to be across the waters of the Gulf of Mexico. Either way, we're going to be looking at what the total accumulated precipitation forecast maps are showing for the Caribbean. First, we're going to be looking here at the Euro. And keep in mind that all of this is showing all the rainfall expected from now up until Wednesday, February 19. And as usual, we can clearly see that the most rainfall over the next 7 days should be where we have these dark reds that represents up to 2 inches of rainfall, purples into the pinks that represents 3 to 5 inches of rainfall. So, we're basically talking about Guyana, Suriname, French Guyana right here, southern and eastern Venezuela, sections of the ABC Islands into portion of the eastern Caribbean, anywhere from Guadeloupe southward, Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Barbados. We can also see an abundance of rainfall for eastern Puerto Rico in the reds right there. Section of the Dominican Republic might get in on some of the action too. We can also see an abundance of rainfall expected for western Venezuela, section of Colombia, section of Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, Guatemala, Belize, the Yucatan Peninsula, getting in on some of that as well. And it's not only the GFS model right here that's showing this, but even the Euro model that's showing something similar. So we just hope and trust that the people who reside in these areas are taking necessary precautions so that they're not that drastically affected by the rainfall to come, because it could definitely bring forth some amount of isolated flash flooding, if not some amount of thunders, land slippages for sure. Let us switch gears a bit and talk about Jamaica's total accumulated precipitation forecast. We see some drastic changes. We are not only seeing northeastern or eastern parishes getting the brunt of the rainfall over the next 7 days according to the Euro. The Euro is showing an abundance of moisture, especially to the south of us, where you see these greens into yellows, oranges, and we also see some of that extending from the east to the western end of the island. And all of this represents anywhere from 15 all the way up to maybe 50 millimeters of rainfall. Very interesting, especially across the western end and the eastern end. But the thing is, we don't have the consensus with these rainfall totals on the GFS. Yes, we see moisture extending from the east to the west in the blues. That represents anywhere from 1 millimeter of rainfall all the way up into maybe the 20 millimeters of rainfall range right here across eastern Jamaica. But it's not as robust as what we see here on the Euro. We'll see exactly what unfolds over the next 7 days, and I'll definitely be here to keep you posted. Taking a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening, we can see a ridge of high pressure right here to the east of Bermuda. We can also see to the east and the south of this ridge of high pressure a frontal system extending from the northeastern portion of North Atlantic. Another frontal system right here extending from the northern portion of North Atlantic all the way into portion of the United States. And we know the ridge of high pressure is responsible for sending all of the easterly trade winds across the main development region into the Caribbean. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before the sun went down, we can definitely make out all of these entities. We can see the clouds right here associated with the frontal system that's currently affecting portion of the US with the rainfall, if not snow. We can also see the clouds associated with that other frontal system right here to the south and east of that ridge of high pressure that's to the east of Bermuda. And we can also recognize the low to mid level flow of the clouds being pushed from east to west, all courtesy of that easterly flow brought about by the ridge of high pressure. And we can even make out the high cirrus clouds still being streaked off towards the east by that upper level wind shear. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean weather later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Wednesday, February 12, 2025. It was stated that rain was in the forecast for parts of eastern Jamaica on Wednesday morning, also affecting sections of some northern and western parishes during Wednesday afternoon. And we know northern parishes, we're talking about Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland. While western parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall, like Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, Westmoreland, and St. Elizabeth. And the eastern parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Surrey, like Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrew. And what ended up happening As early as 10:06 a.m., the visible satellite images were posted not only here on our Twitter page at Weather Jamaica, but I'd like for you to keep in mind that these posts are also made on our Instagram page at weather.jamaica, on our TikTok page at Weather Jamaica, and on our Facebook page at Weather Jamaica 876. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there as we make posts throughout the day that you can't afford to miss. So, looking at the visible close-up satellite images of Jamaica, you can see some clouds definitely pushing in from the east, bringing some overcast skies, if not some isolated shores, to sections of eastern to central Portland at that time. Most of the clouds passing to the south of St. Thomas, pushing into southern St. Catherine, southern Clarendon, and we definitely got some windy conditions with some of the flow from the east southeast. Then by around 4:36 p.m., the visible satellite images were posted once again, and they highlighted that we're starting to get on some of the clouds, bring some overcast skies, if not some isolated shores, across sections of St. Thomas, sections of Portland. We also saw some activity across sections of St. James, sections of Hanover, and we also saw some activity across sections of southern Trelawney, southern St. Anna right here, just as predicted, especially across northern and western parishes during the afternoon. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of Jamaica before we lost the sunlight, I mean, look at that easterly flow across the island. That southeasterly flow definitely bringing these clouds into portions of St. Thomas and Portland. Then this string of clouds extending from northern St. Catherine into southern St. Anne into central Trelawney, and we definitely had some activity across sections of Hanover and Westmoreland before we lost the sunlight for sure. And we can see on the infrared close-up satellite imagery, not much in the way of cumulonimbus cloud cover. We don't see any blues, greens, yellows, oranges, reds, or the sparkling what that represents some amount of lightning strikes or lightning flashes. But we can make out that the upper level wind shear, not really that strong right now, but it's definitely pushing off those high cirrus clouds off towards the north and east as we speak. And if we take a look at what was happening today, See Jamaica's YouTube channel showing the panoramic city view right here, looking towards the southwest. I think we can see the Ministry of Education building right here, if I'm not mistaken. And we can see that it was definitely a sunny day, a fair day, nothing significant in terms of bad weather took place at all. This is at around 2:05 p.m. And I'd like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to see more live streams like this, just visit See Jamaica on YouTube. They have these live streams for your viewing pleasure, and they're planning on increasing the amount of cameras that they have in and around the island. So subscribe today so that you don't miss out. If we take a look at some of the comments that came in here on our Instagram page, we have Marlon_1 God_ stating breeze for days. Thanks for confirming that. And we have Giovanni Panta stating Spanish Town sunshine. Even on our Twitter page, we had Shani stating it is certainly windy this afternoon in St. Catherine. And even at my workplace, it was definitely windy and very dusty as well. Alright, so let us switch gears and talk about what's happening right now according to the latest still image from the Weather Nerds website. And the latest still image is showing 23:35 UTC, which is actually 6:35 p.m. So this just came out 15 minutes ago, considering that it's 6:50 p.m. right now. And we can still make out the high cirrus clouds and the milky whites and the blues still streaking out towards the northeast. Nothing in the way of bad weather as we speak. And unfortunately, we don't have the Cuban Doppler radar images to confirm this because it's still glitched out, showing February 3 into February 4. And today is February 12. Goodness, when are they going to fix this? The Guantanamo Bay Cuban Naval Radar imagery is actually showing February 12 though. And we can see some rainfall right here to the northwest of where the Doppler radar site is located. We can also make out some rainfall equidistant from Jamaica and Haiti. This is a western peninsula. Some moderate to heavy rain at that pushing towards the west. If we actually take a look at the the Cayman radar right here, you can see that there's nothing taking place across southern Cuba, western Jamaica, or the Cayman Islands, but we can make out some string of moisture extending from Jamaica, some of which might have been what took place across the island today, pushing towards the west-northwest. And also see some dots of greens represent some isolated shores to the south and west of the Cayman Islands as well. And if we take a look at what's happening right now according to See Jamaica's YouTube channel, This is the live stream showing a flat bridge, and we can see that as of 6:51 p.m. there's nothing taking place in terms of bad weather. Definitely fair as we speak. As usual, people in their vehicles going about their business, and as you can see here, the rear Cobra definitely chilling. Nothing in the way of bad weather to get it all riled up at all. Excuse me. Alright, taking a look at the temperatures right now, we can see that we're 26 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 25 degrees Celsius in Kingston, and we can still see the bright greens into yellows surrounding the island to signal that we could be continuously getting in on some strong winds throughout the night into tomorrow. And then we're going to be looking at 4 a.m. on Thursday. Look at this. Temperature is going to be dipping down to 23 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, maybe all the way down to 22 degrees Celsius in Kingston. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow. This map from the GFS is valid for 18Z on Thursday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Thursday. And we can see Jamaica right here embedded in some slight orange colors that we can see from the key on the right that represents up to 2 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures. I know the normal temperatures for the month of February across Jamaica is around 86.4 degrees Fahrenheit, and when that's converted to degrees Celsius, that is about 30.1 degrees Celsius. So we should be receiving anywhere from 30.1 all the way up to 32.1 degrees Celsius at most for Jamaica's temperature on a Thursday. And unfortunately, we have some maintenance outage advisories here from my JPS Online's Twitter page, and we know that we have to highlight these because when we have power outages, it can definitely make the heat feel even worse because we don't have our fan or our AC to cool us down. So if you live or work in these areas, or if you have your friends or relatives who live or work in these areas, let them know that a power outage is coming their way on Thursday, February 13, 2025. That's tomorrow. We're talking about Colbeck Heights in St. Catherine from 8:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. Reynolds District in St. Catherine, 9:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Liberty to Bamboo in St. Anne, 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Twist River to Chelsea in Portland from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Grotto District in St. Elizabeth, 9:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Simmons Park off Seaward Drive in St. Andrew from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Civil Apartments in St. Andrew from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And finally, we have Liberty to Bamboo in St. Anne from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And if tomorrow is going to be a bit too hot for you, we have some tips right here to beat the heat as usual. It states here, dress down, wear lightweight clothing, and use sunscreen. Check on others, including children, elderly people with medical conditions, and pets. Be cool, stay indoors, and make use of fans and air conditioners. Avoid alcohol and caffeine as they can make dehydration worse. Limit non-essential strenuous activity during the hottest parts of the day. And I cannot stress enough the importance of staying hydrated. Drink lots of water throughout the day. Even if you're not thirsty, put away those sugar drinks. Drink water instead. Taking a look at the dry air map, we know that the dry air is represented by what we see here on the key on the bottom. That's the yellows, the oranges, the reds, and the whites within those reds. And we can see an abundance of dry air all across the entire Atlantic basin. And the most dry areas right here off the coast of Africa, we have these dark reds into whites. We can see some breaks in the dry air across sections of the Caribbean for sure, in the yellows and the blues. And some of this could be attributed to the upper level cirrus clouds that we see here streaking towards the north and the east. Some of it could also be attributed to these low-level patches of clouds, to mid-level patches of clouds, streaking from east-west across the Caribbean quickly. Definitely have some moisture within all of that for sure. So we'll take all the moist air that we can get to bring us some rainfall. But in terms of the Saharan dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Thursday, we can see that the area across the US, the Bahamas, the Caribbean, Northern South America, and Central America should be in the clear because all of the browns that represent the Saharan dust should be across the southern main development region. And we're also indeed grateful that we're not seeing that vigorous of a plume too, because the vigorous plume is represented by the dark shades of browns, and we know that could mean very hazy skies that could trigger some amount of respiratory illnesses in some persons, asthma, sinusitis, you name it. So we're glad that for 2 p.m. on Thursday it's going to be fair because all of the Saharan dust is way out here. Taking a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, the seas are definitely choppy Look at all of these purples into the pinks and the burgundies that we know represents anywhere from 2 all the way up to maybe 3 meter wave heights, extending from the southwestern Caribbean across the central to the eastern Caribbean. We can also see some of that across the northwestern Gulf of Mexico near the Texas coast. But we see an abundance of blues that represents anywhere from 0.5 meter wave height all the way up to 1.5 meter wave heights, extending from the northwestern Caribbean into the Bahamas and much of the Gulf of Mexico. While the purples into the pinks, into the burgundies that represents the 2 to 3 meter wave heights should be across right here, the northwestern Gulf, as well as the central to the eastern Caribbean right here. And that's because of the winds that are expected. Clearly we see the majorities of bright greens into yellows that represent anywhere from 20 to 25 knots, maybe even gusting to 30 knots right here in an east-northeasterly fashion, curving westward right here all across the Caribbean. This explains why the waves are so high. I'm sure the fishermen out at sea these days are having a hard time. You can also see the greens into dull greens across section of the Gulf of Mexico, where we have these low wave heights as well. So it makes sense. Excuse me. Taking a look at the close-up of Jamaica regarding our winds, you can see on Jamaica's north coast tomorrow up to 14 knot winds coming in from the east. The south coast definitely up to 24 knot winds for sure. Going to be strongest on the south coast, where we have the windiest conditions for sure. And we could get in on some more isolated afternoon rainfall across sections of some western parishes and maybe inland areas of some central parishes. Who knows, maybe some of that rainfall coming off of the eastern sea coming into portion of St. Thomas and Portland once again. And with the upper level winds coming in from the southwest, it could favor more of the activity on the north coast side. Let's see it actually unfolds either way in terms of the actual rainfall forecast maps now. This map here from the Euro and this map here from the GFS are both showing 10 a.m. on Thursday. And what do we see that both models are showing? The blues represent some rainfall across eastern Jamaica. We're talking about the county of Surrey. So Portland, St. Thomas may be spilling into sections of Kingston, St. Andrew. Very interesting that both the Euro and the GFS are in consensus with that. Skipping ahead now to about 4 p.m. on Thursday, we can clearly see that the Euro is showing western Jamaica and inland areas of some central parishes getting in on the blues represent isolated shores. The GFS is more so western Jamaica. We're talking about maybe southern St. James into Hanover, Westmoreland. Not seeing much across the inland areas of central Jamaica. But we do see some blues that represent some isolated shores across eastern Jamaica on the GFS. Not so much for eastern Jamaica on the Euro at all. It's going to be interesting to see which model wins. It's going to be interesting to see how it all unfolds. And I'll definitely be here to keep you posted with how it goes. Either way, in terms of the accumulated precipitation forecast maps, this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are both showing all the rainfall expected from now up until 10 p.m. on Thursday. And we can clearly see that the most rainfall over the next 24 hours should be plaguing portion of eastern Jamaica, where we see up to 0.54 of an inch of rainfall expected in the yellows and the oranges, while the GFS is showing up to 0.13 of an inch of rainfall across eastern Jamaica. We'll see exactly how it actually goes. We'll see how it actually unfolds. Either way, whatever rainfall we get, we'll definitely take it. We're in the month of February, and in February, we usually receive up to at least 19 millimeters of rainfall in Kingston, whose bar graph is being shown right here at the top. In Montego Bay, whose bar graph is being shown right here at the bottom, we usually receive up to 2.9 inches of rainfall for sure. And I'd like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to find out what your specific parish usually receives in terms of rainfall for the month of February or for the entire year, you can visit weatherandclimate.com and that website to show you that information. Alright, so if we also take a look at the actual breakdown of the rainfall that we receive on the rain gauge, we know that 1 inch of rainfall is about the same as 25 millimeters of rainfall, so you can do the math yourself. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So as stated, we have some low to mid-level patches of clouds extending from the eastern Caribbean across the central Caribbean, pushing to the western Caribbean as we speak. We can also see some thunderstorms currently affecting Guyana, Suriname, and French Guyana, section of the central to the eastern US getting lashed by that frontal system. And if we take a look at what's happening across the northeastern Caribbean, let's see what's happening over here. We can actually make out some isolated shores extending from Dominica northward, Guadeloupe, Antigua and Barbuda, St. Kitts, some isolated shores in and around portions of northern and western as well as eastern Puerto Rico. And if we load these Doppler radar images from earlier today, we can see that sections of eastern to central Puerto Rico are definitely getting on some isolated shores, especially the waters to the south of Puerto Rico. Taking a look at the Barbados radar, we can make out some isolated shores pushing in from the east northeast, some of which still happening. We can also see some of that rainfall, that section of St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada, currently receiving. So too section of Trinidad and Tobago. And if we take a look at the weather VF Doppler radar images, we can see some rainfall right here passing to the north of the ABC Islands. We can also see some rainfall right here across section of Colombia. And if we take a look at where the rainfall is expected within the next 24 hours, both maps here from the Euro and the GFS are showing other rainfall expected from now until 10 p.m. on Thursday, and we can clearly see that the most rainfall over the next 24 hours should be plaguing those areas that are shaded in oranges and reds. We're talking about the 0.75 on an inch of rainfall all the way up to an inch of rainfall or more for sections of French Guyana, Suriname, Guyana, sections of Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, southeastern Nicaragua, eastern Honduras in the greens and the yellows, so isolated shores in store for those areas. So too Dominican Republic, eastern Puerto Rico, section of the Leeward Islands, Guadeloupe, and areas to the north of there. We're talking about St. Kitts and Nevis, Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, maybe St. Martin, the Eastern British Virgin Islands. So too areas to the south of there, including St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago, as well as Barbados. And we clearly see that both the Euro and the GFS models are in consensus with this forecast. I know that when they're in consensus like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.